What is up, everybody? It is me, DevilNeverCry, and we are back with another video on DMC Pinnacle of Combat, this time going over even more Vergil gameplay that has recently surfaced. In a previous video of mine, we got to take a look at a sliver of gameplay for Vergil in this game, but thanks to the beta and the efforts of the devs putting out more footage, we've got a lot to dive into. As always though, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with anything and everything DevilNeverCry and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when new content drops. So without further ado, let's dive into the display capture and take a look at this new footage. So here we are with the display capture. Again, big thank you to RK for sending this footage my way. Let's dive right in. So immediately we've got Vergil doing some summon swords shenanigans, some chained judgment cuts, which we're going to get into. Getting on with the aerial combos, keeping the enemy suspended in air, which is pretty cool. Then we get to take a look at this new boss, which is interesting, and Vergil fighting in the streets. I'm not sure what this pop-up is, but you can see Griffin there. Beowulf there, fighting a humanoid boss, and then you see Vergil fighting Nevin here. Oh, and then of course the crazy slashes as he hits him with the combo ender. Right, so if we go back, the first thing I want to talk about, obviously, summon swords, as they're called in this game, not Mirage Blades. This isn't post DMC 5, so he still technically has the Force Edge. There's obviously a lot of questions into the canonicity of this game, which we'll dive into later, but summon swords. These techniques are making a return. The previous clip we didn't really get a look at them, so we know he's got spiral swords, and then if we go forward a little bit, he's got the blistering swords here ready to pin down this Enigma enemy, and then if we go forward just a little bit more, heavy rain here, which are confirmed to still suspend enemies or to slow them down in time, and then the storm swords here, which are the ones that surround the enemy and then pop them up, which probably my favorite, either that or heavy rain, you know, great for setups. But in regards to the development and gameplay of this game, so this game is developed by Yunchang Games, licensed obviously to Capcom, the DMC license, but they are supervising and overseeing the development of this game to ensure that it is in line with the rest of the DMC series, and I've said that before, some of you might not have caught on to that, but there's your confirmation. And then we've got multiple judgment cuts here, so thanks to RK who managed to get his hands on a code and has been testing some things out for me. The judgment cuts are somewhat similar to DMC 5 in that you can chain up to 4 of them at once. However, all of them have to be perfect judgment cuts. In DMC 5, only the last 3 had to be, so you could start it off with a imperfect judgment cut and then chain 3 perfect ones. In this game, all 4 of them have to be perfect. Essentially mean that the timing is just tighter from the get-go if you want to use the chain judgment cut system. Liking the juggles here, keeping the enemy nice and suspended. Going for the roulette spin there with the air trick. Sorry, the trick up, even, air trick. Then we're going to take a look at a new boss here, which I believe might be the Super Proto boss. There was a press release, I believe, put out by Yunchang Games, but obviously with translation and such, there might be some errors. I believe this is the Super Proto boss. Very reminiscent of Urizen, somehow on this strange throne. Even the light attacks that he's got going on here, the pillars, very similar to Urizen. No idea what this enemy is or where they are, probably in the streets of wherever the Temenegru was resurrected, I guess. And then if we come over to here, unfortunately we've got this pop-up here, but you can see Griffin here, which is a little bit of a surprise and isn't at the same time. We've already seen Phantom in this game. Now we've got another take on Griffin, which is absolutely awesome to see. He seems more like, almost like a dragon, if anything. Obviously with the familiar red lightning. No idea what the story reason for this is, as to why this is a thing, but it is cool to see nonetheless. We've got Beowulf here. Obviously we know Beowulf is a weapon, so obviously they didn't bring him back as a boss. I have no idea who this enemy is. Seems vaguely familiar from a previous beta, but it's awesome to see another humanoid boss fight. I think in general, the bosses in DMC tend to shine when they're humanoid in nature, or they're at least a similar size to the player character. Obviously talking about things like Nello Angelo, Credo, Vergil, of course, and Dante with DMC 5 SE. Insufferable Dante, and then Nevin, though people like Nevin for reasons other than the boss fights, might I add. And then we come to the end here where he finishes off with this combo, which is pretty cool, and it's still got that Vergil's still got that after effect sort of chromatic aberration thing going on here. As you can see here, the after image, which is interesting. Concentration, might add, is a thing in this game. It's been confirmed. Should probably make mention of that now. Seems kind of aggressive in that the concentration bar decreases rapidly if you do things like run and jump and stuff. But it's awesome to see the developers kind of take into account everything when it comes to DMC and try and just meld it into this game. However strange it may be to some, I guess, with some of the changes they've made. Right, now let's dive into the second clip. So here we are in the void mode, and we actually get a look at the UI this time. Rolling around. Awesome to see that, obviously with the combo B ender, whenever he sheathes the Yamato, the summon sword does still embed itself and it does pop the enemy up. Awesome to see. I'd wondered if they'd kept that. It's good to see they have. You can just about see the concentration bar here just up above the health UI, which again, the other UI is very similar to DMC5, but that concentration bar is obviously entirely different. Slowly walking up to the enemy. As you can see, the concentration bar is decreasing despite the fact that he barely seemed to be running. Going for the upper slash there. Going for that other ground attack, the grounding attack. So, as I'd mentioned, this is an ender to the roulette spin that Vergil has in DMC 4 and 5. But it seems as though you can kind of do that ender without having to go through the whole roulette spin, which is pretty cool. Grounds the enemy, pops them back up with the sword storms, freezes them with the heavy rain, goes for the rapid slash, straight into the center of judgment cuts, which is pretty cool. You can see the timing there. Back into that. Obviously, you didn't hit the enemy with that combo B, so obviously there's no nothing to pop them up. Straight into the same combo, except there this time, he seemed to hold the button, which is what allowed him to, instead of sending the enemy careening down to the ground, to follow them through, which is interesting. Props them up with the blistering swords, and then just goes on to a set of the judgment cuts. Again, there. So it seems like you just have to hold. You can still spam rapid slash, though it doesn't really seem to have that multi-hit effect it does in DMC5, which stuns them. But it is awesome to see that you can still do these very technical things. You can juggle enemies quite easily. Vergil's always been an overpowered and broken character, and to be honest, it looks like he's the same in DMC5, DMC Pinnacle of Combat. Jeez, I mean, I've got DMC5 on the brain. Can you tell? Ooh, hold on. So, looking at this, that seems to be this game's version of the Void Slash. I'm not sure if they've used the same animation to Rapid Slash to maybe save on the budget, but he disappears for a second and then comes straight back, and the enemy here is suspended in air until he sheathes it, and then obviously he pops off into some perfect judgment cuts. But that was awesome to see. He's got his own version of the Void Slash in this game, as the player here seems to just endlessly go on. It's funny to see that the SS rank here is called Showtime. Very reminiscent of DMC2 Showtime. I thought that was the last I'd seen of that word, but clearly not. There we get another look at the Void Slash. It seems it's got less recovery, and it's similar to Void Slash, you can cancel out of it. I don't think I've seen a trick down at all, though, as of late, so that's... I wonder if that's going to be included. And that pretty much wraps it up for these two clips, so let's now jump out of display capture. And so that is a brief roundup of some of the new Vergil information and gameplay that we got to take a look at. No doubt there's probably more out there, considering the game is currently in a closed beta. If information from the developers is to be believed, though, there is an open beta on its way soon, which means you won't have to depend on an activation key and getting lucky essentially to be able to join in on the beta. Having a look around, it seems the game was supposed to be released last year. No doubt thanks to the pandemic and such, delays have happened, and no doubt the game has been pushed back, I think, to this year, but that remains to be seen. But do let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think this version of Vergil is up to scratch with his other incarnations? No doubt with 5SC's recent release, this version is going to be under a lot of scrutiny in regards to whether he compares or is up to scratch compared to his previous incarnations. Are you excited for this game, or are you not interested whatsoever? Let me know down in the comments below, and with all that said and done, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and as always, I'll see you all next video.